Okay, hi guys, thank you for joining. I have Anna today as a special guest. She is an executive coach, life coaching, and her company is called Smooth Consulting Services. Today, Anna wanted to come on and talk about how we can all be leaders and leading by example. So I'm going to open the floor to Anna. Thank you so much, Anna, for joining.
Thanks, Gurpreet. I really appreciate being here, and I think this is a really cool opportunity that you're offering for your community during this time. So my name is Anna Lisho. As Gurpreet mentioned, I'm an executive life and leadership coach, and I'm really on a mission to bring a more humanistic side to leadership and business. So as Gurpreet mentioned, this is applicable to anyone, not just someone in a management role. But I certainly work with lots of senior leaders who are driven and courageously connected to their teams, whether they're leading or not. And I help them really lead with their authentic confidence so that they can really accelerate in creative ways and bring innovation to their businesses. So I think this epidemic is, or pandemic, I should say, excuse me, making sure I use the right language. Business isn't stopping, right? There's businesses that are actually thriving and doing well. And so I think this is really a time for us to become a little more introspective and reflect. But this is a very personal time for everyone. How everyone's experiencing what's going on in the world is very personal. So, I've often heard the term "take the emotion out of business." I think right now we're full of emotion.
Yeah.
And it's something we can't just ignore. So making sure that we kind of create that safe space for people to be present and feel whatever is going on for them, and that we're all really just doing the best we can. There's no rule book for how to deal with this. This is all very personal, and every one of us is going to move through this a little bit differently. And so I think, as leaders, regardless of the level or role or title that you possess, this is really a time to think about how you want to show up and make that decision. And I think we have to remember that we have a choice, whether we think we do or not. We can choose to be fearful and kind of seclude ourselves, or we can choose to kind of step in and take a lead like you're doing by hosting these lives. And I really think, ask yourself how you want to show up. And if you need the time and the space, take that. But if you also want to move forward, go forward. And I think one of the, I really am a fan of Brene Brown and her concept of leading with courage. And I think this is absolutely a time that we need to move forward with leading courageously.
I agree with you when you said, this is the time, we all have a choice right now. We can either, and I've said this a few times on my life too, we can either live in fear and let fear guide us, or we can soak it in, which is fine. Everybody handles things differently. Like I get anxiety just thinking of going outside, even to do groceries, which, but when I'm home, I'm not thinking anything about COVID-19. But yeah, we do have a choice. We can lead by example, or we can sit here and just live in fear and think the worst. So I wanted to talk about, when you said leaders, and I think a lot of times people get confused when we say leaders and they just look at their titles and think, well, I'm not a manager, well, I'm not a CEO or a president or VP or whatever. So when we're talking today, it's about leaders, all of us, how we can, all of us have that quality in us right now to lead by, it can, as you said, by courage. It can be by many examples. So what advice can you give everybody that's listening in or tuning in or listening in the future? How can we right now really lead by example or lead by courage?
Yeah, I think right now part of the what I really like, what you said is anyone at any level, in any position, whether you're on the front lines, whether you're, sitting at a top level position, we all have a choice and a chance to move forward with this. And I think a lot of a really good way to think about this and think about how we focus our energy right now is a little bit inward. It's how are you feeling? You know, you mentioned anxiety when you go out. You know, are you managing that anxiety? Specifically, I too struggle with anxiety and depression, and so right now there's a lot of self-coaching. Like I have to do this daily to be able to manage my thoughts, because if I let them run wild, they're going to go crazy, just like we're seeing in the news, right? And so I think one of the very first things to really do is like think, are you running optimally? Ask yourself, right? Are you showing up the way you want to be seen right now? And it doesn't matter what title or role you have. And I think a lot of my clients too right now are using this downtime in a way, opportunity to do projects and things that, they've been so busy hustling and they've been so busy in the grind to really they're reconnecting with their family. They're taking up projects. They're taking some time to read and go out for walks or, connect with nature in a different way. And I think, we throw the word self-care around, which is hugely important, even more so right now. But even that in and of itself is personal. What you like to do and what lights you up, what gives you energy is quite different for every one of us. So, write a list of those things. It's Friday today, the weekend. So if you can kind of shut down, this is a perfect time to write that list of things that you really excite you and try and add them in. It doesn't mean do all of it, right? If you're not feeling good, take the time to veg on the couch and watch Netflix. But if you're interested in moving through into a more positive space, think about what makes you feel good inside and do those things.
I saw yesterday, my cousin sent me something. I think it was yesterday, the day before. So my background is South Asian, so we have Bollywood, similar to Hollywood. Yeah. So there's a Bollywood actress, a very famous actress, and she went on, she posted, I think she did a live video, I don't know, but anyways, on social media, her message was so great. She goes, and she kind of said, okay, we always said, okay, if I had time, then I'll do this.
Yeah.
Time, I'll do this, right? Yeah. She gave all these different scenarios. She goes, guess what? We have that time now. So we can't go outside. We can't do anything. So if we wish we had more time to spend with our family, you have it now.
Yeah, we asked for these things, right? We said we were working too much and we wanted more things. We've been granted it, and it's
what her message was, right? Yeah. We always say we don't have enough time. We wish we had enough time, but guess what? Now we do. Yeah. And we can do all the things we wanted to. Okay, fine, a little bit limited. You can't go out, but there's probably a lot of things we can do. It's also, I see it as a blessing in disguise, because you get now people have to slow down. Maybe work's not slowing down for some people, but when you're off work, you get more time to with your family. You can read a book, projects you were saying. I was giving the same advice. I was looking at myself too. There was projects I wanted to do. I bought all this stuff for crafts and stuff because I'm gardening. So I wanted to paint my pots and stuff, but I never got around to it. But I had the stuff. I'm like, well, I can do this now, right?
There you go.
Yes, there's tons of things we have time right now to do that we probably didn't have before, but now we do.
Yeah, and like you said, it's your, you mentioned gardening, like it's spring. We're moving into spring here in Toronto, and so this is what a great time. The sun's out. I saw some people, taking in the sun on their balconies just before I jumped on, and so I want to connect this back to business and in office. Like, why does what you do at home matter? Well, we're a whole people. We're whole humans, and how we're feeling inside shows up in our business. So we're a direct there's a direct correlation between your product and service and what's going on with you and your team. And so whether that means your peers or someone you're managing and teams you're managing. And so if you're living in fear, or if you have these big emotions that you're not managing right now, then that's going to show up in your business. That's going to show up in how you talk to people, how you connect with your vendors, or connect with your team, or connect with your clients even. And so one of the things even too, I suggest kind of going back to is going back to your customer. Who's your customer? Who are you serving? Keep them at the forefront right now, and then use that as your guiding light, if you will, in terms of how you take action going forward. But this whole how you can lead by example is even encouraging. If someone else next to you is feeling not so good or highly anxious, encourage them to take some personal care time as well too, and being flexible in how we navigate this situation now.
So self-care, right? Yeah, and you mentioned self-care a lot, a couple of times now. So some people may have, some people don't know how to do self-care, and some people may feel guilty if they take some time to themselves. So what tips and advice can you give around this topic about self-care? So how can one take steps to actually implementing and not feel guilty about self-care?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is identifying what self-care means to you. So for me, for example, I enjoy taking baths, but that doesn't mean I'm doing that every day. So
Me too. I like that.
yeah, so I have a list of my go-to things, because sometimes I even forget what I like to do. I like to cook. I like to, I do random dance parties in my living room. So sometimes those are on my list when I'm feeling a little blue. I'm like, you know what? Let's throw in some good tunes and get
I do that
too. So
I did that like, before jumping on this, because I just needed to like shake everything.
Release that energy, right? And sometimes I was on a call with somebody else, and one of the things they do is like scream in a pillow. For them, like letting out that energy in a different way is how they need to do it. And so I think like just list those things that make you feel better, make you excited, bring a smile or joy even for a moment, because that will kind of change how you're thinking. And once you have that list, it's then even like adding it to your calendar. If you're someone who can work all day long, adding those little time blocks for, okay, I'm going to go for a walk today, or I'm going to take that 15 minutes and do a workout online, or I'm going to, stop at 6:00 so I can cook dinner and enjoy that with my family. So having not only the list, but then actually adding it within your routine and making it something that is more of a priority for you now.
Great. Those are great advice, because sometimes we don't look at self-care in that aspect. Sometimes self-care, we look at it so many different views, but it can be as simple as maybe it's cooking, making like a good healthy meal for yourself, or even it doesn't even need to be healthy, but if you like to cook, taking a walk, or like as you said, bath, which I do almost on daily basis.
Nice.
That's my morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
Self-care can also, I guess, be morning routines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yoga. There's a great app that I found recently, and I've been sharing this with a lot of my clients. It's called Let's Meditate.
Nice.
I have Android, so it's on Google, but I think it's on Apple too. And actually, I was very blown away, because sometimes apps can be, tricky. But this one has I think they have like 10 different meditations.
Yeah.
If you're feeling anxiety, there's one for that. If you are depressed, there's one for that. Meditation, or just need a 5-minute miracle worker. It's all just like releasing your thoughts. So I guess we can leverage some apps.
Absolutely. And I love that you said a morning routine, because a tool that I created for my clients, something that I struggled with journaling. There's lots of books out there and therapeutic recommendations around journaling, but I really struggled myself to get into it. And through some of the work I've done with my clients and just some of the questions that I would ask them, we ended up creating a morning check-in list. And so, if anyone is interested in a more guided personal check-in, and the flow that I've created was more around, how are you feeling right now? And then how do you want to feel? And then, we know the importance of gratitude and just being thankful for what we do have, and the abundance that we do have, and the gifts that the gift of time right now, as you mentioned earlier, or opportunity or creativity. And so taking a moment to just assess that for yourself, and then make that choice in how you want to, start your day.
So what advice would you give for setting up a morning routine?
So that good question, and that's what I've done and what I've in talking with other people and asking them very similar questions. When you're trying to start something new, it's always good to attach it to something you're already doing. So, for example, instead of waking up and checking your phone, maybe wake up and tell yourself you're going to start this morning routine, and you're not going to turn your phone on for an hour. Almost prep yourself in advance for that, the night before. Set yourself up and have your notebook beside you, and maybe even if you really can't control going to the phone right away, I've heard people put it in another room. Right?
When you're saying this, I actually implemented that.
Yeah.
And I don't know when I changed this, and now I'm back to having my phone right by so I'm in my room right now, but that's why I'm pointing to my nightstand. It's on my nightstand, and today I was thinking, and then you're saying this, and I don't know when I let go that one aspect of my routine was, because I read somewhere that at least for a good half an hour, don't look at your phone when you wake up. I implemented that, and I was feeling great. Now I wake up, first thing I do, I'm not even kidding, I have 2 dogs. They sleep with me, so they kind of wake me up, and fine, I wake up happy because I taught them good morning, so they give me kisses. So when I move a little bit, I don't know how they know it's morning and I'm waking up. They just come right, start giving me kisses. So that's how I actually wake up. But then the first thing I grab is my phone, and I start checking everything. And today I was like, okay, I get very like tension as long as always sitting and stuff. But today I was thinking of this, and I'm like, yeah, I need to stop looking at my phone the first thing I get up. And a lot of us have this issue. So how do you stop that?
Yeah. So
I went back to
put it back in the other room. Yeah, that's good. Or do not disturb. Like I keep my phone on do not disturb, and I have an Apple phone, so it allows me to set what time that switches off. So I actually have it till like 10 o'clock. Like if I want to look at my phone, I have to do it myself because the phone will not alert me before that. So that's another little trick.
But what if you have anxiety around that? Like I do. I'm not gonna lie, like I've had a lot of people in our family died, including my father died September 2018.
Sorry to hear that.
I think that's when I did change my phone stuff. And one of my uncles is really, really sick. Doctors don't even know how he's alive. So I have this fear that if I don't have my phone on 24/7, like I literally have my phone on 24/7, I have it on charger, I don't let the battery die just in case something happens, or my fear is in case someone dies on me.
Yeah, and that's
all I want to be there, even if it's whatever it is.
And that's a valid fear. It's a lot. It's heavy. And I'm sorry you're going through it. I can appreciate why that's very difficult for you to make that choice right now. And so I think I would ask yourself, is the anxiety you're feeling worth, that instant response or that holding onto your phone? And if it was like an hour, or maybe start smaller. Maybe an hour is too much. 5 minutes on do not disturb. Then increase it slowly till it feels more comfortable for you. Or maybe create a buddy system with your family. Set someone on a favorite so that their calls come through. Let them know that you're turning your phone off between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. or whatever. And so that someone knows that the reason perhaps they can't get a hold of you is on do not disturb. And you have a special person who you allow to come through and doesn't. So you're almost managing yourself and your situation instead of giving into that anxiety feeling.
That's a great advice. I never actually thought of that. Actually, I didn't even know you can add. I didn't know that if you add somebody to a favorite, that if you have it on do not disturb, that phone call will still show up.
Yeah, it does it on Apple. I don't know how Android phones, so I apologize to anybody who's on an Android. It might be something worth looking into, but
I'll look into that. Yeah.
Or turning off the notifications, right? Like, so, we're so easily pinged. There's all the social media apps, but then there's your business apps, right? There's email, there's your instant messages, right? Lots of pinging. So can you quiet some of those? Can you turn off the notifications? individually for apps that are really causing that extra anxiety. Like, do you need to be checking Facebook? If your concern is making sure you have contact with your family, how are they talking to you? Are they going to call you? Are they going to WhatsApp you? Are they going to messenger you? So figure out, kind of like, know which communication channels they're calling you from, and then determine, if you can let those other ones be off for a little while longer.
You touched on something great point, like, notifications and pings and emails and all that stuff. That I think that's what's contributing to right now. Even before COVID-19, we had a lot of anxiety. I think a lot of people have anxiety because I've mentally thought about this many times, and I try to put some mechanism, and then I get on, I get off, I fall off the wagon, I get back on. But I agree. I think, not that I think, I believe a lot of us have anxiety nowadays compared to many years back, is because we are always on. Like, we're always connected. Sorry, not on. But we're always connected. And we have this to thank. This can be a blessing. I read this. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because we're always connected. We don't know how to disconnect. So do you have any advice on that? Like, how do you disconnect?
Yeah. And I think I want to put it back into the context of leadership, if you're cool with it, is like, how do you stay connected? Like, whether you're on a team, managing or not, is how, if there's expectations around being connected. So one of the things I would say is managing your expectations, like kind of the similar advice I said with your family, with your team and at work, is maybe first defining what expectations are for communication, right? You might have deliverables, you might have status updates that you need to send. So kind of defining, like, okay, Mondays, we're going to all check in with each other. And then on Friday, we all want to check out before we log off on the weekend. So you define what that looks like for you or your team, if you're managing yourself individually or you have a team. And then communicating those expectations, making sure whoever your circle is, so whether it's your family or in the context of business, your team and your peers, making sure everyone agrees, like, hold each other accountable, come up with a commitment to check in, where it's not every single day or every moment or just sending pings all the time, and kind of having a bit more mutual respect now and setting those expectations, because we're going to have some limitations. There's going to be people who are have children running around at home who they need to either homeschool or take care of. There's others who are taking care of elderly. And so we kind of need this flexibility right now. Our work environments may have changed. And so there's a bit of, if you kind of can define it, and then communicate and understand your expectations, and then you can manage this better. You can look at prioritizing, asking yourself or asking your team, is this really urgent right now? Is this something that I can plan instead and prioritize or delegate or work together collaboratively? And then kind of check in. Like, so if last week the way you communicated expectations has changed, check in again this week and say, hey, did the way we say we were going to talk to each other work? Do we need to pivot again? Do we need to move into a different direction? And use this opportunity to ask other people what they want. So not, just make it about yourself, but make it about what the other person is interested in, how they feel comfortable communicating, how they feel comfortable checking in, so that you almost, you talked about being connected with your phone, but you almost, if it's too much and you go into like feeling disconnected, a lot of my clients are worried about feeling disconnected from their team and their business. And so, how do you continue to build that rapport virtually? How do you, have those office jokes, like, the water cooler jokes, or, like sometimes there was one of my clients asked a question like, should I send my dog, pictures of my dog or not, or would that be disruptive? And it's, the question I said was like, a lot of people like dogs and it actually brings joy more than it's disruptive. And so, not all the time, not all day long, but if you're going out for a walk to your dog and it's a Friday and you want to kind of shed some light, especially if everyone's feeling really anxious, this is a good, like, breaking the ice, breaking down those tenuous feelings.
Yeah, I have two dogs, and one of them is very social. Both of them are social, but one is always clingy to me. Right now, he's not. But if I'm on a call, I don't hesitate to pick up my dog because, well, if he wants me, he wants me. And you know what? The response is, it's always hasn't been negative. It's always like, oh my God, he's so cute.
That's great. Yeah.
I think even yesterday, my virtual coffee call, my dog wanted me, so I picked it up and I said, like, sometimes you guys will see my dog, and everybody just went into this, oh, it's so cute. And another person on the call, we can see the baby in the back. I'm like, who's baby? And I love babies.
Exactly.
And then we told them, bring him, right? We can use the baby right now. So I think
Yeah.
times are very, due to this whole COVID-19, I think a lot of us are learning that, sometimes maybe we're putting too much pressure on what we think is professionalism.
Yeah.
And now we're letting that go because times change and everyone's work environments are changing. You're working from home, and some have kids. You'll see kids running, like, not me, but you'll see kids. And I remember someone was apologizing. I'm like, why? It's fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people supporting this, even on LinkedIn, saying it's okay if your kids show up in the call.
Yeah, it's almost forcing us to be compassionate, right? And have that kind of expressing and harnessing that emotion of care for that other person, and being empathetic in terms of their situation, and still trying to do work and still trying to move forward, but respecting that sometimes those things shift. I had someone on one of my posts comment about how their new coworkers are their family, right? Their husband and their kids, and they've had to devise, all four of them are working from home, and so they've had to devise kind of key areas in the house where, if you're on a conference call, you get to go into the office, and if you're not on a conference call, you get to congregate around the kitchen, or whatever working dynamic suits them. And so I think it's like, this is the fun you can have. You can see this as an opportunity to kind of have fun and be silly and move around. And like right now, I'm not in my office, I'm sitting in my kitchen table living room, and just change of scenery is good sometimes. Yeah.
I'm one person, like, I wrote about this because a lot of people were posting about remote work and best practices, and the number one tip everybody was giving was designate a space. And I was like, no, some people may not have luxury to designate a space.
It's true.
So I think sometimes we do get overloaded with a lot of information. So I think, and I'll get your opinion on this as somebody that's an expert in this area. Like, I always say, no, you need to do what's best for you and never apologize, because you give yourself that permission. Like, you don't have to follow what everybody is doing, especially right now. Not everybody has a luxury to designate a space. Some may not even had a desk.
Yeah, it's
and they
true.
have to utilize their kitchen table, right? Like, I have a desk, that's fine. But some people don't have a desk because they don't work from home. They want to be in the office. So do you agree, like, a lot of times we are just holding ourselves back because we have all these thoughts in ourselves? We should just allow ourselves to do what we want to do.
Yeah. I loved what you just said, and the concept of permission. Sometimes this has happened to me where I didn't know I needed permission, and someone made a comment and they're like, Anna, you're allowed to do this. And it was like, whoa, okay. I didn't know I needed that permission. So I encourage, give yourself permission now to do what feels right for you and create the space that makes sense for you. There's no like right or wrong here. And I think I love that you brought that up. Thank you so much, because I think we, like, guilt is another emotion, and guilt is something else that we, like, spend a lot of energy on when we could be doing other things. And you, I didn't forget, you asked me earlier, how do you make sure self-care, for example, is guilt-free? And so even from that perspective, a lot of people have traveled or flown in a plane, and they always say, put your mask on first. And it's, it might be cliche and have gone around the internet, but it's true. Like, if you're not feeling good, it's really hard for you to show up, be a leader, show up, do your work, show up in the way that you can. So give yourself that space, give yourself that time. Maybe put some, if you're like, I don't want to waste a day, I feel guilty if I'm going to waste a whole day, like, give yourself permission for like an hour. I'm going to lay on the couch and take a nap for an hour, and then I'm going to get back up and log in again, or I'm going to go play with the kids and then log back on later. Or you know what, my schedule is going to be a little bit upside down, and I'm going to tell my team that I need to kind of reorganize my day. So I think this is like, yes, I think we're giving people permission if they need it. If they're struggling, like I will offer absolutely for anyone to reach out and kind of share their personal situation, and I'm happy to walk them through what they can do differently if they're really struggling with something like this. Absolutely willing to support anyone that's interested.
So as you said, they can reach out to you. So this just ties in right into the time slot. 30 minutes are almost up.
Yeah.
How can someone reach you if they want to talk to you about how they're feeling or anything? How can someone reach you?
Yeah, great question. I think you can either comment. I know you're going to be posting the replay of this, so either comment on the post or connect with me directly and just put in the comments that you watched this live and that that's where you got to know me from, and I'll be gladly willing to help through LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anna, so much for taking like 30 minutes of your time to come on, talk about leadership, talk about self-care, communication, giving us all these different tips and advice that even I didn't even think of before. But thank you so much for joining, and I hope everybody has the same weekend. And, you know, as Anna said, give yourself permission. Don't feel guilty, especially right now. I think everybody should take some time to themselves because we are dealing with a situation that none of us know how to deal. Government doesn't even know how to deal, and everybody's trying to do their best job, and things are changing so fast.
Exactly.
And so anxieties are kicking in. I'm one of them. Like, as long as I'm home, I'm fine. If I have to think of going outside, I'm not gonna lie, I do. I openly talk about my anxiety going to the grocery store. So yeah, give yourself permission, guys. Do what you need to do, and don't apologize for taking care of yourself.
Exactly.
So, thank you, guys. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and then tune in on Monday for mine and Gail's segment, G&G segment. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks, Gurpreet, for having me.
You're welcome, Anna.